I want to start this video off with a quote by one of my favorite authors. We become what we repeatedly do, and I'm a big believer that changing something small like your study habits can have a big impact on your life overall, and it'll definitely increase your grades. I wanted to make this video primarily because when I was in high school and college, nobody sat me down and said, this is what you should do, this is how you could be more organized, how long you should be studying for this one thing, and I kind of just winged everything, and I realized that I was actually spending too much time studying, which means that I wasn't studying as efficiently as I possibly could. And throughout all of my schooling, I thought it was a good idea to put together all of the techniques and study habits that I've learned, and hopefully some of the stuff that I share you'll be able to use and incorporate in your own life. The first habit is to create a study schedule, okay? When I was in college, I resisted doing this because I felt like I could just do things as I went, and if I had homework due the next day, then I would just make some time for it the day before. But it's actually a really inefficient way to study, and I found that making a study schedule actually will make your life so much easier, and you won't study for longer than you need to. The first thing I did is make a schedule in Google Calendar, and I just used it because it's free and like it's on my phone and my computer, so I can access it wherever I go. And I added study times for each class accordingly, and some of the classes, were a lot harder than the other classes, so I actually added a lot more study time for those. I normally chose each study period to last about an hour and a half. I felt like that was enough time for me to get a lot of work done and enough time for my brain to relax, because I don't like working for hours and hours on end. And if you're in college, what I recommend doing is actually scheduling the homework time for a class right after you have it, just because the information is fresh in your brain and you're already in that work mode, and you'll actually get the homework done faster, and for studying and stuff like that, it's a lot easier to do. Another advantage of creating a study schedule is that you're less likely to miss assignments because you have time in your week that you have dedicated towards that class, and it just gives you a better idea about what's going on and keeps you organized. I also wanted to mention some other free resources other than Google Calendar that you can use that have helped me out. The first one that I would recommend is called Notion, and you can put a calendar and even make it clickable so that you can view your notes on a specific day. I know that that's helped a lot of students, and that's actually what I use to plan all of my YouTube videos. Another calendar platform is called Free College Schedule Maker. I use this when I'm trying to pick my classes for the year. For this one, you don't have to make an account or anything, and the UI is very simple to use, so I would definitely recommend it if you want something really quick. And for your convenience, I linked some of the resources down below in the description, so check that out if you're interested. Another study habit that I think is really great and helped me out a lot is to study in chunks. So what most people do is they try to study, cram all of their studying in one time period. But what I like to do is use what's called the Pomodoro technique, which is when you study for 25 minutes and then take a 5-minute break, and then study for 25 minutes and take a 5-minute break. I feel like this is a very easy way to get started and get motivated on studying, just because you only have to convince your brain to study for 25 minutes, which doesn't seem like that long of a time period. Let's say you have a 10-hour study session that you have planned. You're gonna be really not motivated to get started. You're gonna start trying to procrastinate, maybe do some things around the house. But I think that using the Pomodoro technique and studying in chunks, I think that it'll help you out a lot, because I know that it helped me out a ton, especially because the hardest part about studying is just getting started. The next study tip is definitely to have a designated study space. It's funny, when I was a freshman in college, I primarily did all of my homework in my bed, which I would highly not recommend, just because your brain's really not in that, mental space of working. And even though it's really convenient and comfortable, but I did, started using my desk a little bit more because there were desks in the dorm rooms, and I had everything cleaned off. All I had was my laptop and maybe a notebook, because I feel like in my bed, I was more likely to grab my phone and, start scrolling on social media, just because it was just more of like a lounge type space. But as for a desk, my brain kind of associates that with work, so I was able to kind of distract myself a little bit less by having a desk. And once you have a desk, I would highly recommend making it as clean as possible. When I had a lot of clutter on my desk, I would get distracted a lot easier, which definitely means to put your phone away and not anywhere near you, because that was like the worst thing studying when I was in college. I was always grabbing my phone. I had a habit whenever I got bored, or if I looked at a problem that was starting to get a little tough, my habit was just to grab my phone, start scrolling on social media. But it's actually the worst thing for our brains. That's why I started putting my phone on my bed while I was working on my desk. And that's a good segue to talk about the next study habit that I implemented, which was limiting my distractions. I recommend keeping your desk clutter free and just have anything that you need on there, like a water bottle, notebook, pencil, just all the stuff that you immediately will need. just because if there's other objects on your desk, you're more likely to get distracted, or it might remind you of something that you need to do. This next one is definitely the most important thing. If you had to take away anything from this video, it would be this next point, and that is to only study what matters. So what does that mean? In math class, for example, the main things that matter, let's say you have a test coming up. The first thing that you should do to study for that math test is not redo all your homework. It's 100% to redo the quizzes that you had before. And you want to use your time efficiently when you're studying. You don't want to study things that you're not necessarily going to use. And your teachers put what's on the quiz there for a reason, because that's going to be, it gives you a hint for what's going to be on the test as a whole. So if you did really good on all of the quizzes in a certain unit, I can almost guarantee that you're going to get a good score on the test, because a test is a combination of all the quizzes that there were before. So I would definitely refrain from just going over all of the homework again, just because I feel like that's a really inefficient way to study. And another thing that I've noticed that teachers like to do is that they like to put more of an emphasis or more questions on the most recent chapters, and I started noticing this pattern in high school, and it remained true throughout college. And another great thing to do is actually just ask your teacher if they have a practice exam or some sort of practice worksheet that you can use to study for the test. 9 times out of 10 they're going to have something for you, or they're going to tell you, oh no, just look at these few chapters, this is what's going to be on it, and that's going to help you out a lot. And this one seemed a little funny initially when I wanted to put it in here, but I think it's pretty important, and it's going to be having a healthy lifestyle. There's been so many studies about how sleeping is actually more important for your overall test grades as a whole than studying, you know, that extra few hours at night when you're probably just going to forget everything in the morning. So being sure that you sleep at least 7 hours is going to help you out so much, and I try to get at least 8 hours every night just because I love my sleep. And another thing that helped me with my study habits was just eating, you know, healthy foods. The moment that I started eating a little bit healthier is when I started waking up less groggy, and I had just more energy throughout the day to do more things. And I had no idea how much natural energy I actually could get from like eating healthy and stuff, but I think that it's helped me so much, and I would highly recommend anyone, if they, you know, have low energy, you know, unmotivated, they feel kind of gross, you know, definitely to start eating a lot healthier food. And I also wanted to list some foods that are scientifically proven to help, you know, your brain and give it the nutrients it needs. I really hope this video helped, and if you have any ideas for future topics that you want to see me post on my channel, I'd be more than happy to do them. Just comment them down below. If you guys do want to do something to support the channel, there is a button down there that you can press. But other than that, I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next one.